Which is what? I don't like this, guys. Yeah. Recording in progress. Can I start now? It said recording in progress.
You're good, Mr. Chair. You can start.
I have one more thing. Should be.
First we'll do. Somebody was like, great job. Are you ready? All right. Good afternoon. We are going to call this regularly scheduled meeting of the City Plan Commission, which was originally scheduled for last Tuesday, March 24th, 2026, continued to today, Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. It is 4:52 p.m. and we will call this meeting to order. Let's do a roll call, starting with Rachel.
Rachel Dodson,
Noel Sanchez,
Charlotte Lipschitz, Lindsay Patnelli,
Shoyan Mandrakar, DPD staff.
Megan DeSanto, legal counsel.
And I am Michael Gazdaco, chair. Next up is the approval of the minutes from the January 20th and the March 3rd meetings. You all should have received these prior to the meeting. Hopefully you had a chance to review them. I don't have any edits. Does anyone have any?
Michael, I would also add, we were here on the 24th. I just put in a little note just to say that we were here and continued it. So yeah, I would add that.
What we did, I did say that we started, this originally was scheduled for March 24th. We were here present in this room on March 24th, 2026. It had officially been continued, so that anyone that showed up on the 24th was told that it was continued to today, 1 week later. Also, welcome Lindsay, our new member of the commission.
Yeah.
Tonight will be your first one, and should be an easy one to easy win. We'll see. Make no guarantees. Now back to the meeting minutes, January 20th and March 3rd meeting minutes. Let's start with the January 20th meeting minutes. If anyone has any edits to the meeting minutes of January 20th, 2026.
no.
Or if there is a desire to put them forward for
Make a
approval
motion to approve both minutes for
Okay.
January and for March.
I'll second.
for both. Look at that. All right. So we have a motion on the table. We'll just do a voice vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of January 20th and March 3rd as drafted, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes pass. Director's report, I'm assuming we're going to we're going to wait until next month. Mr. Azar is unable to be with us this evening. He had a family issue to take care of. Seems that everything's okay, but he won't be able to be here with us this evening. So having said that, we'll move right into the first agenda item, which is a minor land development project reinstatement for case number 23-039 MA 661, 663, and 665 Plainfield Street.
Sure. Thanks, commissioners. John, are you representing that? Okay. So commissioners, quick introduction. So this was a project that was before you back in 2023, but expired in August 2025. And it consisted of a development that consisted of 3 buildings, 3 mixed-use buildings, each 4 stories with 8 units, as well as commercial space. So the applicant is before you asking to reinstate that plan. It was a combined master and preliminary plan approval. And they are asking to have that validity be restarted once the plan is reinstated. And there are some criteria in our development review regulations that we will be going over, but I believe the applicant has a representative here and he can provide some more detail.
Yeah, so before Attorney Garrity kicks this off, a reinstatement is probably new for most of us here. It's a little bit different than a land development project because we don't have to make the findings of a land development project or even the zoning that were made to give the original approvals. There are specific criteria listed out in your staff report that we have to make, mostly consistency with a comprehensive plan, that the zoning hasn't changed, et cetera. And I believe Attorney Garrity is going to walk us through all of that right now.
Chairman of the Commission, John Garrity, on behalf of the applicant, Fairview Inc. I think Jeff Likens is here.
Is the mic on? We'll get Joanne to help with that too. We're a little short-staffed. Lev is off today as well, so we don't have technical help either.
Right? Yeah, I think that's it.
And if I touch it, it'll break. So you don't want me to touch it.
So I don't know if Jeff Likens can join us, who was the architect on the project. Is that possible to do?
We just promoted
Yeah, it said he should be rejoining.
Grosvenor as a panelist. Let's see if this works. Mr. Likens, are you?
Hello. Yeah, there he is. Okay, he's there. So, yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, so, reinstatement, as you indicated, you all right, Mr. Chairman?
I don't know that this is the safest thing, but kind of makes me uncomfortable having him driving. Maybe you can pull over for the duration of his testimony.
If he needs to testify, we'll have him pull over.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, as you indicated, reinstatement is a relatively new provision, passed by the General Assembly in 2023. It's the first one that I've had. And I think it's a very good, tool. As you know, with development projects, things happen. And, you know, things happen and it takes time to get the process moving. And normally it's a two-year process in which to have final approval after the preliminary approval is granted. In this case, this approval was issued in August 2023, which frankly seems like just yesterday, and expired in August of 2025. So it's not that it's been hanging around for a long time. Some of you may remember that the General Assembly had extended those dates where they didn't expire in 2008 when there was a financial condition, and that extended, I think, until 2015 or 2016. So that they gave a long period of time. So now there are time periods for which you have to act. You can ask for a continuance if you do it before it expires. However, as you know, sometimes, in any event, this project was a little bit off course. It's now back on schedule, full speed ahead, according to the applicant. So the General Assembly allowed for that, for those types of reinstatements. You've adopted rules.
Not going exactly so it's
To show, and I'll go over them. They're not extensive,
down there
but the development is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the comprehensive plan has not changed substantially since the time of the original application as it would apply to this development. These regulations, the zoning ordinance, and all applicable state and federal regulations are substantially the same as they were at the time of the original application, as they would apply to this development project. The zoning map designation for the development project has not changed substantially since the time of the original application, and no substantial change to the physical condition or development project or the abutting properties has occurred since the time of the original application. Those are your rules. This project conforms with that. There was a change with respect to the zoning. Originally, it was C1. The C1 zone was eliminated, the C2 zone. The same rules applied with respect to this project applied to the C2 that applied to the C1. substantially it is the same project. It has not changed. It was kind of a little bit of a awkward site because of the corners, had some challenges to it with respect to the zoning ordinance, the side yards, the provisions with respect to being up directly onto the front yard. So there was a couple of setback dimensional variances granted at the last hearing. So it's still a good project as it was in 2023, and hopefully it's going to be constructed now if it's reinstated.
Okay. You've brought Mr. Likens here. I'm assuming that he can testify to the same things that he sent in his letter, just to affirm that he's reviewed the plans, the previous approvals and the current zoning and how they align to what he portrays in his letter.
I would ask Mr. Likens if you would give your affirmance to those questions and those issues.
Yes, I would. Yeah. I don't have my letter in front of me, but as John had stated, the project hasn't changed. We're not looking for anything different than was already approved. And as John also stated, the surrounding area hasn't changed, nor any substantial changes to the zoning or comprehensive plan. So just really looking to get this reinstated if possible, so we can finally move forward. There was some change in the development team on the project is what caused the delay. But the current sole owner is very excited and wanting to move forward right away if he can.
Okay, thank you. I heard that. I want to make sure that we're able to have everyone else hear it. We're having a little technical issues. Did the other commissioners hear that enough? Okay. I'm not sure if everyone at home could grab that, but or in their virtual rooms, excuse me, you might not be home. But Mr. Likens did affirm that the letter that he submitted after reviewing everything remains the same opinion that he had then. Commissioners, do you have any questions of Attorney Garrahy or Architect Likens? Okay. Thank you. With that, let's hear the staff report.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chair. And so Mr. Garrahy did go through the criteria for reinstatement from the development review regulations in 10006B. So based on that, we do concur with his findings, which is that this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. It was under the neighborhood commercial designation, still continues to be. No appreciable changes to the zoning ordinance as pertains to the project and the site. Also, as Mr. Garrahy said, there's very little difference between the C1 and C2 designations, and we are not aware of any change to the physical conditions of the development. So based on that, we would recommend that you make a motion to reinstate the master and preliminary plan approval, and the approval shall be valid for 2 years from the date of approval of the extension.
Okay, thank you, Choyan. So this is a public meeting, so that we'll open this up to public comment. If anyone here in the physical room cares to speak on this matter, please raise your hand or come up by the column here where we line up to speak. If anyone is in our virtual room, please press *9 if you're calling in, or use the raise hand button in the middle bottom portion of your screen.
And I don't see anyone raising their hands online.
Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment portion of this agenda item. Commissioners? This one's pretty straightforward.
Well, the plan's already on the record.
Yes, yeah. You got a copy of the previous staff report in your online in the packet.
Yeah, they were emailed to the CPC.
Thank you. And nothing is, well,
Yeah, nothing's changed. The applicant and the The attorney and the architect both testified to that, so. At this point, I think we take a motion to reinstate the land development project based on the findings of fact in the letter, the testimony of the applicant and their witness. And having made the positive findings pursuant to section 1006B of the development review regulations. And that approval shall be valid for 2 years from the date of approval of the extension.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We'll go around and do a vote. Noel,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
and I vote aye. We'll let the record note that Dave Caldwell joined us at about 5:04. And he will join us for the next agenda item. So moving right along, we will go to agenda item number 2, which is city council referral number 3611. It's 349 Killingley Street. It's a rezoning request.
Yeah, and commissioners, this is a vacant lot at 349 Killingley Street that's currently zoned R1. And the applicant is requesting to rezoning to R3 in order to build a 3-family dwelling. So, yeah, the applicant's representative is here and he can provide more details.
Attorney Gary, it's been too long.
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission, John Garrahy on behalf of the applicant. This is, we are looking for more housing and we're looking for appropriate places for housing. As I said, zoning should be appropriate. This is a lot which is surrounded by a commercial zone on 2 sides across the street by the R3 zone. So it's entirely appropriate. And on Killingley Street, which is a major thoroughfare and not too far from Hartford Avenue, a little bit away. So this is your recommendation to the city council for a zone change for this parcel. The Citizens Bank is on the corner there. Liquor store is behind it. So it's an R3 zone. Again, across the street is the R3 zone. So, and I did a land development project across the street as well, which was multifamily. We believe this is entirely appropriate for the R3 zone. A 3-family in this area would be appropriate. Add additional housing to this area. Happy to answer any questions.
Joanne, the 2 parcels across the street and to page up from the R3 zone, those are R1 currently, the 499
Yeah,
and 887. I can't really read it.
yeah, there are R1. The lots to the south of them were also zoned R1, but rezoned to R3.
Okay.
Right, those were the lots I was referring to, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
those lots.
Those lots, correct, yeah.
And there's a multifamily, the Johnston line is right here, and there's a multifamily development behind that as well. It's
Right.
in the town of Johnston, it's not in Providence. Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions? My biggest question is, why don't we change those 2 little fingers that are still there?
Yeah.
Recommend the
I was
change
gonna
of that
say,
to clean
that's
up
a
the map.
question to if we just land up with these weird pockets, what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I looked at this online, I thought it makes more sense to recommend the zone change for all 3 parcels. The one in question and the other 2, which the city council can do. They can take that up or they can ignore it. But I think that would be my suggestion.
Are the current structures on those 2 other parcels, they look like commercial structures?
I'm not really sure what they are, John.
I
Check
don't
that one out.
know. I don't know.
There's 2 small houses.
Their houses, no, yeah,
It's 2 little ranches.
more towards Hartford Avenue.
Those are 2 small houses? Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a ranch and a cape. And then a large lot and then a multi.
Anything else while I look this up? All right, let's hear the staff report.
Sure, and so as we said, this is a request to rezone the lot from R1 to R3. And as has been pointed out, it's adjacent to the C3 zone with the R3 zone across the street. So this mirrors the land use map of the comprehensive plan, which shows that this is an area where you have medium density residential uses against general commercial mixed use development. And as this neighborhood consists of a mix of uses, it would be appropriate to rezone, which would be in conformance with the comprehensive plan. This would also be in conformance with section 101 of the zoning ordinance. Based on that, we would recommend that you recommend approval of the zone change to the city council. And if you would like to add that they consider rezoning lots 87 and 409 to R3, that could be a possibility as well.
Okay, we'll take public comment at this time. If anyone here is here to speak on this agenda item, please raise your hand or come up and join us at the column. If you're joining us in the virtual room, please press *9 if you're calling in, or raise your hand in the middle bottom portion of your screen.
No hands.
And seeing none, we will close the public comment portion of that agenda item.
I think that it makes sense to recommend that all three get changed. It seemed, I mean, just looking at the street view now, those two small houses up against the gas station seems like a strange configuration. Obviously, if it continues to be that way, fine,
Yeah.
but I think we should allow something else to be there as well.
Yeah, I agree. There's also, there's, depending on the time of the photograph, it looks like there's anywhere between like 4 and 2, like 6. There's a whole bunch of cars there. So I think it's probably would behoove us to clean up the map and not have all these little pockets of things. So that would be my recommendation.
Does it have any negative effects on the owners of the land there?
No. Gives them more flexibility, if anything.
Seems like it offers options
Yeah.
in terms of,
And the city council may not agree with us, but I think that would be my recommendation.
Would it affect their taxes at all at the next assessment or
Unless the valuation changed.
would that changing the zoning show up in evaluation review at the next assessment?
It would. I don't know how the valuations are calculated because there's a private entity that takes those into consideration, and when I've appealed my valuations, it's always been, they base it on the land and the building and the surrounding properties and comps and things like that. I don't know if they take zoning into consideration or not. I can't speak one way or the other to that.
That was just my only question.
Yeah.
So if I could just get ahead of my skis here, because I don't know the ins and outs of assessment either, but it's true that in the last assessment, multifamily values went up higher than non-multifamily, but it's based on the actual my understanding is based on the existence of a multifamily, not the fact that a property could become. It has to be, it's the fair market value of the property, which my understanding is doesn't factor in what it could be until what it could be exists. Yeah.
That would make sense. Thank you.
Might not be right. That's what I believe.
Sounds good to me. I believe it.
I would just put on the record that, just for whoever's watching this or when the city council takes this up, if a zone change incorporates additional lots, I'm assuming this petition provided appropriate notice to the abutters. It might change who is entitled to notice if it incorporates additional lots.
Yeah, go right ahead.
We provided but that you want to put a butters list of which they provide for the public hearing. So that's a very good point. If they were to consider that, I think you'd have to expand the abutter list.
And that would be expanded at the city council if they took that up.
Right.
Yeah. Good point. Thank you. Okay. I think we're ready to entertain a motion at this time.
The wording maybe matters, but I'll make a motion to recommend to the city council to approve the zoning change and I guess consider a zoning change for lots
Do you have the law?
87 and 49.
87 and you said 49?
Yeah,
49 alongside this lot that we've discussed tonight.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second
All right. We have a fully formed motion. We'll go around and do a voice vote. Noel,
it. Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Moving right along. Thank you, Attorney Gary. The next up is a minor subdivision with Unified Development Review. It's a public hearing for case number 26-007 UDR for 55. Are you gonna tell me how to pronounce this correctly? Because I feel like
Grosvenor.
is that how we say it?
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm from England, it's gonna be a little bit different. Grosvenor Street. Grosvenor Square. Okay.
Yeah, so.
Everything is silent in the middle. Yes.
And so commissioners, I'll provide a quick introduction. So this originally was a request to subdivide the lot pursuant to 2003 D, which allows you to subdivide lots into non-conforming lots where it has been demonstrated through an older plat map of the city that the property did exist as two or more separate lots. So that is what the applicant intends to do. However, they are before you seeking relief from the rear yard setback requirement. As you can see on screen, this is an irregularly shaped lot. And a rear yard is the area located between the principal building and the rear lot line. And the rear lot line is defined as the line that is opposite and most distant from the front lot line. So because of that, they are required to maintain a setback of approximately 28.8 feet, but they will be maintaining a setback of about 20 feet, 20.8 feet. So yeah, I guess the applicant's here and they can tell you more about the request.
Okay, this is Unified Development Review, so anyone speaking on this matter will need to be sworn in unless you're the attorney representing. Also, we want to speak into the microphone too. But please state your name for the record as well. I don't either. Is there a battery issue? All right, we may need to pause for a battery.
Make sure the volume is turned up for the mic on the back of the speaker.
Who is speaking to it?
It's Jason. Are you our tech help today?
I am, Mr. Chair.
I know, it's amazing.
Thank you. Take something to drink.
It's something, right? Yeah, it's beer. It's a good break. I asked Bob once if there were any regulations that prohibit wine. He said no. It wouldn't be a good look.
You better meet it.
For the record, I've never tasted a high noon. I don't intend to.
I thought it was
Take your word for it.
It's the modern day Zima. Those of us that are dating.
Everything today.
Drop a line.
He's one of three.
I can get back to high school. These are good. These cocoa chico.
They're good, yeah. Those are good.
Oh, and then sharing.
Oh, yeah, we need to promote you as a panelist so that you can share. We can take this off.
Andrew.
Yeah, while we're waiting, do you want, anyone who's going to speak, let's have them sworn in right now.
Sure, I have with me the owner applicants. This is Esperanza Veliz and her husband Hugo and their son-in-law Eddie.
Okay,
Do you solemnly swear the testimony about giving this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
no, so we need first and last names from everyone, you and everyone else as well.
Sure, I'm Andrew Cormier. I'm the attorney for the applicants.
Esperanza Veliz.
Hugo Beliz. Eddie Grijalva Jr.
You're good then, okay, thank you. All right. Stenographer's good, so you can continue.
Thank you. Just a moment.
All right. Yeah, so you've been promoted to panelist.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I have everything pulled up.
Shares.
Thank you. But again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Andrew Cormier. I'm here on behalf of the applicants. And they've been sworn. So I'll just pose it to whoever. Now, do you own the property at 55 Grosvenor?
Yes.
When did you purchase the property?
In 2009.
Thank you. Okay, and you are here before the board petitioning for a subdivision of your property, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Here, unless the top minute by.
I think he's interpreting.
I'm interpreting.
Okay, I'm gonna interpret.
Maybe the interpreter should speak under the mic, would you?
No, I don't need that. I just want to make sure that the record is clear that we have an interpreter.
And as part of that subdivision plan, you understand that you're requesting dimensional relief relating to the rear setback.
So, como estamos haciendo una subdivisión, estamos pidiendo aprobación para el espacio de atrás.
Yes.
And as part of your subdivision application, you had a survey completed, is that correct?
El documento que le mostré, el survey.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna direct your attention to the screen here. And does that appear to be the survey that you submitted?
Sí, ese es el documento que yo le mostré que pagamos.
Yes. Yes.
All right, now when you purchased the property in 2009, you said, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Was it similar or the same configuration as you see here?
Sí, cuando compraron la propiedad ya estaba de ese tamaño la propiedad.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, neither of you have done anything to change the lot configuration, such as a subdivision or a merger or anything to that effect?
Está preguntando que en el pasado no hemos tratado de subdividir la propiedad antes.
No.
No.
Okay. Is there any economic or physical disability which has impacted or caused you to alter your plans for the subdivision at all?
Si hay alguna disabilidad o algo que está causando que nosotros hagamos la subdivisión. La rechazamos.
No.
No.
So since you've purchased the property, your lot has always had this kind of L shape?
Yes. Desde que compraron la propiedad sí siempre ha sido de ese tamaño.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm gonna show you another map here. I think. Now, does this appear to be an aerial view of your property?
Sí, esa es una vista de arriba de la propiedad suya, el mapa que está mostrando.
Yes. Now, when you look at this map and you see other lots in the area, do they appear to have a rectangular shape?
So, cuando está viendo todos los lotes que están en esa calle, sí tienen una forma rectangular.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if the board were to grant your subdivision application, going back to the survey plan here, the new lots would have a similar rectangular configuration as the lots you see on the aerial view.
So, si ellos aprueban la subdivisión, si el lote nuevo va a tener el mismo tamaño que los otros lotes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And now, would you agree that if the commission were to grant your application, the resulting lots would be of a similar size and shape as lots in your neighborhood?
Sí, está de acuerdo que el lote nuevo va a tener el mismo tamaño que todos los lotes que están alrededor.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, going back to the survey that you had prepared. It is your intention to subdivide your property kind of along this line near the garage.
Nosotros queremos subir la propiedad en esa línea que está cerca del garaje.
Yes. Thank you. And then, in your opinion, does this seem like the most appropriate or logical way to subdivide your property?
Sí, en nuestra opinión es la mejor opción para subdividir la propiedad en esa línea.
Yes. Okay. Can you imagine any other feasible way to subdivide your property?
Si usted se imagina otra manera en la cual se podría subdividir.
No. Now, if the subdivision is granted, the plan would be, or you understand that the plan is to raise the garage and eliminate the concrete pad right next to it.
Sí, cuando se hace la subdivisión, hay que botar el garaje y el concreto que está a la par.
Yes.
And then if the subdivision is granted, you envision that there would be eventually, in all likelihood, be another house built on that lot.
So, cuando se hace la subdivisión, lo más probable es porque va a haber una casa en ese lote.
Yes. If the subdivision is granted, and two lots were created, each lot would have access to the street. Is that correct?
Que cuando se hace la subdivisión, cada lote tiene acceso a su propia calle.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And then, are you aware of any environmental issues with the property that would inhibit this subdivision or a future buildable lot?
Si tenemos algún conocimiento de algo en el terreno que tal vez no cumpla con la subdivisión.
No.
No.
No. Thank you. Right. As the Joyan mentioned, this was originally submitted as part of a 2003 D subdivision, which allows the division of lots to revert back to, a prior lot configuration. So here, this is a plat map from 1950. The lots at issue are 28 here, 31 and 30. So we're seeking, or the applicants are seeking to revert the property line in the rear here. So that lot 30 would be created again or be reestablished. So as part of our presentation tonight or our application, we're seeking dimensional relief related to the rear setback line. Based on the way the ordinance reads, the rear setback line would now be essentially going straight across here. And that creates the need for the dimensional relief. Does the board have any questions for the applicants while I have them here?
No, I think we're interested in the variance and the land development requirements at this point,
Sure.
going through all of the criteria for the variance that you're requesting, the 21 feet where 30 is required, and then going through the land development regulations.
Sure. So the dimensional variance approval standards, you need to show that there's a hardship relating to the structure or the land, that there's been no prior action by the applicant inhibiting this subdivision, that it would be consistent with the neighborhood zoning and comprehensive plan, and that the relief is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of a permitted use. Thank you. I think when looking at the survey and based upon the testimony of the applicants here tonight, I think they have demonstrated that they meet all of these standards. As noted, this down. I don't need to hold that anymore. Yeah. So with respect to the unique hardship, the lot is an L-shaped lot. That's evidenced by the survey itself. It's also evidenced by the testimony of the applicants. They haven't done anything to change the configuration of that lot, and we're simply asking that it be reverted back to a previous lot line. With respect to the general characteristics of the neighborhood, again, this is an L-shaped lot. We've heard testimony from the applicants. When you look at lots in the area, they all follow a traditional rectangular shape. So this subdivision would create lots of a similar size and shape. The applicants have also testified that they're not seeking this subdivision as part or as a result of any physical or economic disability.
We have the applicant testify to that. We can't have you testify to the hardships. Oh, you did. You asked that already, and
yes,
that's what you're referring to.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm merely trying to summarize their testimony with respect to each standard. Okay. The applicants have also testified that they've taken no prior action to change the configurations of the lots. When they purchased the property in 2009, they've testified that it's always had this L shape. With respect to consistency of the zoning ordinance and the comprehensive plan, I think the staff report points out that this subdivision would be consistent with the general character of the area. Both lots or both proposed lots would have a similar rectangular shape. They'd be similar in size to what already exists in the neighborhood. And if you refer to the staff report, it also shows that, or indicates that, it's consistent, the subdivision is consistent with the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance.
So the setback is the relief that you're requesting, not the subdivision. So can you speak to speak to both the setback that you're requesting, that won't change the character, and the subdivision? So we need testimony on both of those.
Sure. So as part of your subdivision plan, are you making any changes to your house in terms of where it is with respect to the rear setback line?
Sí, con la subdivisión están alterando su propiedad en cualquier manera, la casa, la que ya existe.
No.
No.
So the house will be in the same position that it already exists.
Nada le afecta a su casa donde usted vive.
No.
Let me rephrase that. So that the house will, nothing's being changed with respect to where the house is.
So, si algo va a cambiar con donde está la casa ahorita.
No. Thank you. Sorry. And that's why you're seeking relief with respect to the rear setback.
Y que por eso queremos la aprobación del tamaño del lote.
Yes. Thank you. The where the subject lot is located, it's zoned for low density residential, medium density residential. So we submit that it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. The new lot will be as indicated by the applicants. The proposed new lot would be used for future residential, which is a permitted use in the lots zone. And then if the subdivision isn't granted, essentially, or excuse me, if the dimensional relief isn't granted, the applicants would essentially be prohibited or inhibited from subdividing the property, which would be inconsistent with 2003D. Sorry, I'm having a hard time with. There we go. We've heard testimony from the applicants with respect to environmental concerns. Sorry, on the wrong one, that they're not aware of any environmental issues with the property that would prohibit the subdivision. They've also testified to the fact that the subdivision has proposed, they understand that it would create a buildable lot for future residential use. And the applicants have also testified that both lots would have access, street access. So I would.
Council, I don't want to speak for the commissioners, and I'm not sure if this is unclear to the commissioners, but to me, it's unclear from the record. If you could just clarify which of the two proposed lots you are seeking a setback relief for.
Sure.
I presume it's the one where the existing house is currently located, but if you could just make that clear for the record.
Sure, thank you. So I'm going to direct your attention again to the survey. And you can see from the, or maybe you can, but you can see from the survey that there is a lot, an existing lot on Grosvenor. And that's the lot that your house is on, correct?
So, su casa está en el lote de la Grosvenor.
Sobre la Grosvenor.
Yes.
Thank you. And this is the lot or the proposed lot that you're seeking the dimensional relief on, is that correct?
Y que por eso estamos pidiendo aprobación de la subdivisión.
Yes. Thank you. So I'm happy to answer any additional questions, as are the applicants.
Okay,
Thank you.
commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I guess, is the plan to access the new lot or lot A from river or from?
Yes.
Okay, great.
No other questions? All right, with that, let's hear the staff report.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Chair. And summarize our staff report really quick. So the applicant spoke about the L-shaped lot. And as we spoke about before, the rear lot line, which is opposite and most distant from the front lot line, is what is used to calculate the rear yard setback, which in this case is larger than what the applicant is able to provide. And so we do find that unique L shape is a unique characteristic of the land that is related to the hardship that the applicant's seeking relief from. And also, if you looked at the aerial map, you will see that the lots on this portion of River and Grosvenor Ave have similar configurations with larger lots on Grosvenor and smaller lots on River Ave. And so therefore this granting the relief for the subdivision is not affected to negatively affect the character of the area or impair the purpose of the comp plan. And also denying this request for relief would amount to more than a mere inconvenience, given that the applicant wouldn't be able to subdivide their lot in accordance with 2003D, which is permitted by the ordinance. So based on that, we would recommend that you approve the requested relief. Moving on to the subdivision. This is an area where you have single as well as medium density residential development abutting each other. And we do find that granting this, allowing for this subdivision would continue that land use pattern that is identified by the future land use map of the comp plan. Subject to you granting relief, this would conform to the zoning ordinance, allowing for two lots in conformance with 2003D. However, given the presence of an accessory structure and the fact that you can't have an accessory structure as the sole structure on a lot, the applicant is required to demolish the garage prior to final plan approval, as well as remove any excess paving, and they are required to submit a zoning certificate of compliance to document those changes prior to final plan approval. We don't foresee a negative environmental impact. We don't see that the subdivision will create lots with any constraints of development, and adequate street access will be provided from Grosvenor and River Aves. So based on that, we would recommend that you approve the minor subdivision, having granted the requested relief. Subject to this condition, the applicant shall obtain a zoning certificate for compliance, documenting removal of the garage and excess paving on new lot A prior to final plan approval.
Thank you, Joanne. All right, this is a public hearing, so at this time, we will open up the meeting to public comment. If you care to comment on this agenda item, which is agenda item number 3, please raise your virtual hand or press *9 if you're in the virtual room, or if you're here in the physical room, which I don't believe. I think they're just the applicants for the next agenda item here. So if anyone's joining us in the virtual room or in the physical room, please raise your hand or press *9 if you're calling in. And seeing none, we will close the public comment portion of this agenda item. Okay, commissioners. This is a fun 2003D subdivision where it was previously separate lots, and they're asking to do that again. The relief they're requesting, and the reason that they need to be here under Unified Development Review, is because they want to keep the house, and it doesn't meet the rear yard setback. So I think this one is a pretty clear-cut case of dimensional relief for the subdivision. So we would do a few different votes if we choose to move forward with this item, and the first would be for the dimensional variance. Now, finding the dimensional relief, we have to talk about the criteria that they have to find, that the hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land. So the applicant testified that the existing house doesn't meet the rear yard setback, which is why they need the relief to do this subdivision. So that's case in point. That's number one. Number two, it won't alter the general characteristic or area of the surrounding area or impair the intent of the ordinance or comprehensive plan. Obviously, these lots, as the applicant testified earlier, you saw the square and rectangular lots that were surrounding this house, and it was previously subdivided into 3 lots, not just 2. And then the third criteria that we have to find, so we found 1 and 2. The third is that the City Plan Commission, as part of Unified Development Review, we require that evidence be entered into the record that's showing that granting a dimensional variance, the hardship will be more than a mere inconvenience. Obviously, we can't effectuate the intent of 2003D without this relief, because we can't approve a subdivision that doesn't meet the criteria for the subdivision. So we need to grant this relief in order to grant the subdivision, as testified by the applicant and evidence in the staff report. So if we wanted to start with that one, we could take a
I have a
motion.
few questions.
Yep.
I have a few questions first on the lot B, the new lot B where the house is.
Yes.
Where the house is right now.
Mhm.
What will the permeability coverage be percentage wise? I'm just curious if we could ask.
It's on the plan on the left-hand side, I believe. Right-hand side. Where is it?
24%.
No, 25. Lot B will be 25.1%. Oh, actually, you're right.
No.
Rear yard percent in front yard, rear yard. 47.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, total is lot B, the bottom one, 47%.
Just shy of. What makes it.
Well, so my comment, maybe question to the applicant, the driveway is not gonna be needed anymore, going all the way back to the existing garage. The garage is coming down. Would they be willing to remove the pavement between the house and where the garage used to be as well? It's that little square that's left over in the plan.
What is the minimum? What is the minimum amount of,
Permeability.
like, I know we're at 47%. What are we striving to be at?
Yeah, so total maximum impervious coverage limit in this zone is 65%. So they are within that by providing 47.
So they meet and they're not requesting relief for that. They're only requesting relief for the rear yard.
For the setback.
Yeah.
Could we ask if they might be willing?
Is that something the applicant would entertain?
So the question is, the commission, would you be willing to, remove some of the excess pavement?
Between the house and the garage.
Sure, and
Where
you're,
the house is now in the garage, it's gonna come down.
if it, go.
This is parking. Yeah, it's this little piece right here. Yeah, those big part of it. Okay.
So they use the parking?
Yeah, and given that they otherwise meet the requirements, I don't know that incurring the additional.
Just so this commission is aware, because this is a variance, you are empowered to impose conditions. The applicant doesn't need to acquiesce or consent. and they can be above and beyond what the zoning ordinance requires.
So that's just one thing for me, looking for permeability in the surfaces there. It looks to me there's no curb cut on River Avenue yet, and the lot is only 40 feet wide.
Well, we're looking at, the dimensional relief right now.
Okay.
We
Or
can talk
this
about
is for
both.
the other.
We can talk about, that
for
would be
other
for the,
lot.
the minor subdivision.
Well, it has to do with permeability, tree coverage and all that, because a few trees are gonna come down in this process, looks like, to be able to build on the lot in the front, on the River Avenue side. They're not drawn in the survey, but they're gonna come down. There's some pretty large trees close to the
Okay,
corner.
so if you're concerned, you could put in a condition that it be reviewed by the city forester to determine if any of those trees are significant prior to development on the lot.
I don't think they're significant as far as size. They're not beyond the minimum, but they are gonna come down. It's just, it will become less, there'll be less of a tree canopy after the plan is approved.
Right. Because there's no house there now, but
Right.
they're proposing to build a house in that
Right.
area.
And so just trying to balance a little bit the impact on the site in favor of permeability and tree coverage.
The removal of the existing concrete pad in the garage on lot A, Choyan, that makes them meet the impervious.
Correct, yeah, it would have to
Coverage.
be below whatever is permitted in that zone. And also whenever they develop, they would have to meet any
the canopy
criteria.
coverage.
Right, relate to canopy coverage as well as impervious coverage limits.
Because we're not approving the house here right now.
Right.
That would be through the building permit process. We're just approving the line going through the subdivision.
Yes,
So there'd be another process for that.
I know we approved some small lots in January as well, and it's just an issue is gonna come up, and parking, all that kind of stuff when we're allowing for density. Just want to make sure that it's
I mean, this,
considered.
there are
in
a
the
few
process.
different things to take into consideration when calling this a small lot. When this application was submitted, the minimum lot size for this type of subdivision was 2,500 square feet. This is 2,704 square feet. There's another regulation again, allowing the lot lines to be reestablished where they were
Right,
merged,
I understand
previously
that.
merged together. So it's not a small lot in comparison to the other parcels throughout the neighborhood and what previously existed.
I understand, but it is smaller than the minimum lot size we had a few years ago,
Fair enough,
5,000 square feet.
fair enough.
It looks like the street tree could probably stay, but yeah, we'd probably lose that tall cedar. But there's another tree on the side, so it's not impossible to maintain some level of canopy.
Well, and they would have to in order to get a certificate of occupancy for the,
And remind me in the process, so we approve it and then the garage and the other pavement come up
Can
down
you speak to that, Joanne?
when?
They'd have to do that before they submit for final plan approval. That's one of the conditions of final plan approval.
So the line would not be established until after that's done?
Correct.
Until they get a zoning compliance.
Certificate of
Certificate
compliance.
compliance. So the garage would have to be removed and the concrete would have to be removed.
Is the forester involved in that?
When,
In that zoning line?
no,
process?
not really.
No.
That's from, the certificate of compliance comes from Department of Inspection and Standards.
You can request a review by the forester.
I don't know that it's gonna get reviewed at permit.
Correct.
Permitting.
Right. Yeah.
All right, those are my comments, questions.
Then we're back on the dimensional relief. That was requested. We've already gone through the standards and how the applicant meets the standards. And the testimony that we've received to that effect, and the staff report that also further confirms that the dimensional standards are the standards are met for to allow us to grant the dimensional variance. So
We need a motion to,
we would need a motion and a second in order to move that forward, yes.
so I'll make the motion that, sorry.
Or can I just ask one more question? So, now that it's allowed to build is it R3 the zone or different?
R1.
Okay,
Well, the new lot's gonna be in, well, yeah, it's gonna be R1.
It's an R1 district in Elmhurst. So they'd be allowed to build a single family.
no, I was just concerned if it was an R3 on Grosvenor Street, then they could put a 3-family house and the setback would be reduced. Not necessarily be reduced, but it'd be overwhelmed a bit more. The houses on River Avenue are big, they're 3-family houses.
But if they were requesting a new building, like they were to tear this down and raise and rebuild a new structure, they would have to get new dimensional relief. Is that correct? They'd have to, if they were to raise the existing structure, existing 1-family structure and rebuilding something else, that would be new dimensional relief that would be required for that, correct? They're not proposing that now, but he's saying in the future, if we grant the subdivision and they can build something larger.
The setback relief doesn't carry forward for a new project if it came into being later.
I understand, generally variances run with the land. So anything newly constructed would get the benefit of the rear yard setback relief that's previously been granted.
Even if it was a new structure.
If it was, you know,
Calculations.
honestly,
It would be new impervious calculations, it would be new.
it doesn't mean that it would be compliant with all the other dimensional it doesn't get the benefit of being non-conforming. It still would have to comply with all of the dimensional regulations that apply and the 20-foot 8-inch rear yard setback, including any new dimensional. So if the structure were raised and the regulations had changed between then and now, they would have to comply with all of the new dimensional regulations. But I'm not 100% sure about this, and I'm not conferring any rights on the applicant by advising this council this way, but I think the setback relief would run with the land and would be applicable to new construction. It would be the only dimensional regulation that would sort of remain.
And for what it's worth, there's no plan to raise, this is their house. There's no plan to raise the existing house.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I understand. It's just for the future, for the future use of the land. That's my concern here.
Yeah, actually,
Could we write it in that it wouldn't carry for a new project?
yeah, I don't know that we can do that.
Yeah, I don't,
Condition.
And I don't have an issue with the
I mean, you can
21
try.
foot.
I mean, you can try and you can condition it on the rear yard setback being specific to this existing structure on the lot. And then we can deal with any legal issues in the future if they arise with that condition.
I don't know that it's necessary. I don't have the same concern.
Yeah.
I guess my question, Noel, is your concern pervious coverage only, or that the actual 20 feet is like worse environmentally than the 28 feet?
Well, just considering that a lot of building is happening on small lots now, right? Multifamily, particular in the city, and we are wanting more density. Just want to walk into it
I mean,
carefully. So
I'm looking at the rest of the character of the neighborhood, and it looks like this 21 feet will still be more than most lots have going up and down Grosvenor Street. it looks like 35, 39 both have less rear yard. 45 does, 29 does, 25 does, all along the street. It's
Right,
consistent
it's
with
the way
what's
that they
there.
built, right?
So I think in looking at this with our lens, which is consistency with the comprehensive plan and the surrounding neighborhood, I think it matches, and I don't have an issue with the 21 feet, 20.8, 20 feet, 8 inches, or 20.8. I don't know, actually know what that means. It could
So
be
the
one or
only
the
thing
other.
that we're doing that's different with the rest of the line, of the lots, is that we're establishing a boundary that can carry forward to different projects. In theory,
In theory,
yeah.
to allow them to effectuate a subdivision that they're legally allowed to do.
And
Yeah.
so let's vote.
I'm gonna make the motion that we approve the 20.8 foot rear setback variance per lot, proposed new lot B as submitted,
Based on the
based on the findings of fact. Is there anything else I gotta say specifically?
testimony,
The
the
testimony,
the
the documents
discussion
submitted, the discussion, robust discussion
by not only the applicant, but
by
the
the
board.
applicant, board.
Okay.
Board's
that good?
attorney.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All right, we have a second. We'll go around and do a voice vote. We'll start with Rachel this time. Rachel,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Noel,
Aye.
Charlotte, Lindsay, and I vote aye. Now that they have met the criteria for the dimensional relief and been granted it, we can look at the minor subdivision. And we could entertain a motion based on the testimony of the applicant and the findings in the staff report that they meet the relief granted through Unified Development Review, and that they meet all of the conditions for the minor subdivision. And if we did that, we would also want a condition for that approval to be that the applicant obtain a zoning conformance document, removal of the garage and excess paving in Lot A prior to final plan approval.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we'll go around again. Rachel,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Noel,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Lindsay, and I vote aye. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, long time.
Under IT. We do this a number of different ways. I could just.
Easiest would be for you to be promoted as a panelist and run the show. I've already thought of this.
That's actually what we like to do anyway.
Yes.
Eric, should I? You know. Yes.
Is it, it's Eric? Okay.
Wait, you was gonna break.
Do we need a break? Does anyone need a restroom break before we go into this item?
Yeah, I like I know.
All right, before we get into this, we're gonna take a 5-minute restroom break. So it is 6:04. We will come back at 6:10. It is 6:11. All right, it is 6:11. We will call this meeting of the City Plan Commission back to order. We are on to agenda item number 4, 309 Dexter Street. This one's really, really interesting. So Choyan, why don't you introduce this? Because I'm excited by this one.
Sure. So, commissioners, this is a request for preliminary plan approval of a 48-unit multifamily building in the MMU 75 zone. As you will see on the map, the development consists of 4 lots, 2 in the MMU 75 zone and 2 in the R3 zone. So while the building will be constructed in the MMU 75 zone, parking will be provided in the rear. They will be providing a total of 26 spaces in the rear yard, as well as an additional 8 spaces in another lot on Ford Street. So for the parking, they are requesting variances from the total maximum and rear yard impervious coverage requirements of the R3 zone where the parking is located. Then in addition, they are asking for a special use permit for the principal use parking lot at 20 Ford Street, where they will provide the additional 8 spaces. And subsequent to that, given the deficit in parking, they are requesting a dimensional adjustment for providing 34 spaces for the 48 space unit. So they will be talking to you about the design of the building, as well as their request for relief, the special use permit, landscaping, and whatever else you typically see at this stage. So yeah, the applicant's here and they can go from there.
Good evening, Julissa Arce on behalf of the applicant. I also have with me the architect team and the engineering team. By way of background and preparation for today's meeting, we also met with the city forester, and with the plans that you have before you, we realized hours before the last week's meeting that the tree on site is in fact a significant tree. So last week we provided to you the revised site plan that reflects the updated plan set. So that way we have a reconfiguration of parking, but there is no change in the relief that has been requested in terms of parking spaces or of the amount of relief requested in terms of the impervious surface.
And just for the record, that plan was uploaded to the website under your application last week as well.
Perfect, thank you.
Also, before you get started, this is Unified Development Review, so anyone who's speaking today, let's get them sworn in by the stenographer before we kick off.
Perfect, will do. Thank you.
You solemnly swear the testimony about giving this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
I do.
State your names, please.
Joshua Klein. Eric Zuena, Zuena.
All right, and before I turn it over to Joshua Klein, our engineer record, just to give another quick overview of the project. We're proposing 48 units and with 34 parking spaces, which we are asking a dimensional adjustment for. We are proposing to have 40% affordable units. So that would trigger the qualification for the 50% reduction in parking, which we'll dive into and show you the parking layout. And in efforts to meet the parking requirement, the one-to-one parking requirement for the multifamily use, we also provide off-site parking at lot 546, which is across the street at 20 Ford Street, which you will see on the site plan. The provision of the off-site parking on the current vacant lot triggers the special use permit. And so we will go through and show how we meet all the requirements for principal parking lot. And so with that also being said, the existing conditions of the current site, so the site of the 4 lots that of 309 Dexter, it is currently, if you look at it, it's a vacant parking lot, which is primarily already paved. And with our proposed project, we are also having the parking reflect the current conditions by having that parking on the R3 portion of the property. So as we dive in, you will see how the parking falls within the R3 zone of the lot. And with it being a split zone, you will see that we are requiring impervious surface coverage relief for rear yard only due to the R3 zone. Otherwise, the actual building is in the MMU buildable envelope, which would not have any impervious surface requirements. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our engineer to give you the lay of the land of the project.
Spell your last name.
Klein, Kline. Thank you. Thank you for having us this evening. Again, Josh Klein. I'm with Stonefield Engineering and Design. I'm a licensed engineer in Rhode Island, as well as 7 other states. We're excited to be kind of presenting this application. It's I think a really nice infill development opportunity. So kind of as was explained, the site's highlighted here in yellow. We have Hanover Street, kind of to the top or to the north, and then Dexter Street along the right-hand side or to the east. So again, it's 4 lots. It's currently split zone, which I'll highlight a little bit more on the next page. And we have kind of 2 frontages, historical aerials. I mean, dating all the way back to the 50s, this really was, a parking lot. At one time it was probably much more heavily parked than it is today. Kind of the parking lot itself, the sidewalk, kind of the area has kind of gone under a little bit into disarray. I think one of the big highlights we look at from the site perspective is stormwater management. So today you have a parking lot with no stormwater management controls. You basically have a site that flows from the left to right or towards Dexter Street. So any runoff that hits this site flows right off the parking lot, kind of directly to Dexter Street and kind of into that combined sewer system. I'm going to flip over to the next. It's a little bit easier. One of the other items to highlight is we did confirm there's a significant tree on site. And I think we're really excited to kind of have this plan in front of the commission because we were able to save that tree. And by doing that, maintain the parking and add a little bit more open space. So it's a great design. So that tree is located, this actually can point, correct? So there's that significant tree in the bottom left-hand corner. We've kind of seen that we've been able to kind of create a landscape island around it, and well as kind of make sure that we'll be able to protect it throughout construction. So just kind of highlighting a few of the items discussed. There's that split zone line kind of through the middle of the property. So kind of what was noted is you have the building. So it's a 48 total units. It's 5,200 square foot floor plate. Eric will kind of go through the building itself in a little bit more detail. You have kind of the head-on parking, you have the ADA parking, as well as the covered bike parking, kind of close to the entrance of the structure highlighted right here. And then the remainder of the parking area is in that residential zone. We are providing a perimeter fencing around the outer perimeter for screening. We're also providing 4 additional trees and 14 shrubs. So we're meeting all the landscape requirements as well as the canopy coverage requirement. The site is consolidating access to kind of have one clean access point along the top of the page. We'll be replacing the sidewalks as well as part of the project. So really kind of refreshing and cleaning up this frontage with the building. We do have a trash enclosure on site, so trash will be managed on site as well. And I think kind of coming back, one of the key highlights here is stormwater. So the project is proposing an underground stormwater basin. So we have pre-treatment proposed to kind of make sure we're treating that water on that initial flush. And then we have an underground stormwater system that's going to capture and kind of infiltrate. So not only are we kind of providing a reduction in kind of the runoff that's coming off the site compared to existing, we're also ensuring that water's being kind of clean or treated as well. And so that stormwater system is located underneath the parking lot. Kind of directly in the center of the site. So it kind of allows us to make sure. So we're capturing the entire parking lot area. So all of the parking lot is going to this system as well as the roof area. So any kind of those main impervious surfaces are all kind of draining towards that system. We did include an overall site plan, so I'll just highlight quick, the off-street parking, here. So there's 26 spaces provided down with the main building. Kind of coming up along Dexter Street and then along Ford Street, we're providing kind of 8 additional parking spaces up here, so they can kind of be accessed, to the building as well. Those are really the high level highlights, from a site plan perspective. Again, happy to go into any more detail. I don't know if you want me to, I can turn it over. You want to continue through, or if there's any questions from the site side.
On the civil side, does anyone have any questions of the applicant? I mean, there's plenty of materials in here, including a full stormwater management plan. They've done their stormwater design. It's a pretty robust civil package for what we normally see.
So I just like to ask, I know you talked about fencing the parking lot. What sort of fencing are you using? Would it be like type board or? Yeah, I know the final spec hasn't been selected by the owner. I think the intent was to make sure it's a screening material. Yeah, like, just given that it's a parking lot adjacent to residential, so I think type board would be preferred.
So a solid stockade fence as opposed to
Yeah.
like maybe a chain link fence or chain link fence with slats even, to have more light,
Sure.
less light trespass.
Sure.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions of the engineer before we move on to the architectural components?
Sure. I just got one more. Do you need and require any state permits? Like NBC or DEM? So we will require NBC approval, just because of the sewer connection as well as the combined sewer. So we would coordinate, with them.
So that's just sewer, just NBC?
Sewer and stormwater will be NBC.
State approval.
No, just for final plan.
All right.
I know you guys are, I know you guys are asking about for parking relief and that we don't have, the full parking ratio, but I guess one thing I'm struck by, and maybe we can talk about it with the building too, is that these are incredibly small units. And I'm wondering about whether you have any sort of evidence that all these parking spaces are going to be used. Maybe you can speak to that. It's filling the site with parking, and if that's really useful, then I think people here would probably support it. But I'm wondering if we are sure that all these parking spaces are going to be used.
Yeah, please.
I'd love to take that. We are not sure that all these parking spots will be used. We are trying to respect the ordinance, the zoning, and doing our best to meet it. But the idea, the concept for this project really strives on affordability. And as you noticed, that the units are rather small, and we are in a location that allows for alternate means of transportation. And, our client, he's done 7 or 8 other projects with us, all been built in the west side. And, he's had to pave parking lots in several occasions, and many of those lots are not used. So I appreciate your comment. We're doing our best to thread the needle here to not overbuild this site, but also make sure we're doing our best to meet the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a tricky issue.
Yeah, the only thing I could.
300 square foot unit, are you really?
And maybe you can speak to the unit mix and your target demographic also, or maybe that's what you're going to talk about, Eric, is, okay, I don't want to get ahead of myself.
It's a great segue. I can let Josh off the hook. I'll run through the plans, as you already noted that there is smaller units. So on the ground level, so one thing that you might have recognized and what Josh pointed out quickly was that the building is hugging Dexter Street, which we think is the appropriate location for this scale. It's a 5-story building, being really sensitive to our context. And I think the context is unique, where you have some older industrial buildings that are in the process of getting converted to a residential use, and you have other,
tenement houses, I would say 3 to 8 unit buildings that are lining these streets to the west side of this property. And so we are a little bit at a seam on Dexter Street, but you're probably aware of other mills that have been recently converted close by that have all been really successfully welcomed in the community. So this would be something similar. But it is new construction. We're being very conscious of trying to keep this construction type rather simple. So it's a 5-story building, all wood framed, slab on grade, no basement to be poured or anything of that nature. And it is all revolving around that concept of affordability. And so the density and the unit count is that we have 39 studio apartments and 9 one-bedroom apartments. So the one-bedroom apartment is the largest unit in the building. It's a total of 48 units. It's a total square footage of just shy of 25,000 square feet. So our first floor, just to walk you through it, the parking lot that Josh was discussing was here in the rear. We have our main entry and lobby in the corner, which we're trying to just use that as an opportunity to activate Hanover Street just a little bit. You turn the corner into your elevator and stair, and we're raising the first floor foundation or the first floor elevation. So that way these windows in these apartments are not being looked into directly from the sidewalk. So we've done that on other projects before where you just raise it just a little bit so you feel like you still have a certain level of privacy when living on this first floor. As you move up, you'll see very similar stacking layouts. And the only nuance here is on the corner where the lobby is, you're seeing another studio on this rear corner and an opportunity for a 1-bedroom here. But the rest of these units are pretty much stacking from below. And that's what it does as we march up. Aesthetically, it was refreshing to hear from our client that he wanted to introduce red brick, full wide red brick, just to create a little bit more uniformity at the street. So we looked at this rendering doesn't show it incredibly well, but these elevations are the same. Meaning that this brickwork is at the same height as this brickwork. Our window openings are approximately the same size as these window openings. We obviously abstracted that brick a little bit to create a little bit more of a contemporary feel and create a rhythm along Dexter Street. And that red brick material turns the corner and wraps to the rear to allow for a more gracious arrival experience at the parking lot side. In addition to the red brick, we have some rather large windows on the first floor, again, just to nod to our neighbor. And then above, we're doing something a little bit smaller with our windows just to create some sort of contemporary language with materials like board and batten, cement board, and I think that's all we have. I have a future slide, which I'm going to go through the materials for you. Here we are. So this is just identifying the finishes that we're using. Fiber cement, we have panel 1 color, which is the dark gray. We have Everlast board and batten, which is the product that we're using on the rear of the building. Brickwork, you'll see this is the elevation from the parking lot side now. So you're looking at the brick turning the corner and expressing the entry and arrival sequence. And granite we're using at the base just to get that first floor elevation raised to a comfortable height for inhabitants.
Question, just to confirm, are we using real brick here or veneer?
We are using real brick here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep. Again, that was refreshing to hear from our client when we were allowed to use it, but we're excited about it. I wish I had you guys all know the area really well. I mean, I visited the site. I've been to the site maybe 6 or 7 times, and there are times where you have people repairing cars in the street, blasting music and almost, feel as a visitor on the site, feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And then you have other times where people are walking the dog and just using these Dexter Street as a residential neighborhood. So I think, the infill opportunity here is important. We think it helps move the neighborhood in a better direction. And, again, we think it does complement the industrial nature of our immediate neighbors, but it also, by pushing it to Dexter Street and keeping it out of that R3 zone, we think it also is trying to provide some breathing room from the smaller scale homes. This is that inside elevation, which is, we don't require a setback on that property line, but we are creating one because we just want to make sure that in the future, if someone does build to the property line next door, that we have some room for daylight and also for maintenance of our facade. So we're trying to think ahead. We think that this is the beginning of some future development in this area. There are plenty of vacant sites or abandoned properties that we think are great infill opportunities and adaptive reuse opportunities. These are just some axons. Just trying to, again, I guess what we're trying to communicate here is that because the building is 5 stories, you are visually experiencing this building from many different directions. So we're trying to show you those perspectives from the sky. And here's the rendering. I'm closing with this rendering. I know I speak kind of quickly and we're trying to keep this a little high level in respect for your time, but I'm happy to speak about this in any detail you'd like.
So when you talk about affordability as being the key, what are we talking about as far as affordability goes for these units?
What's the percentage? 80% AMI, 40%, 80% AMI.
So 40% of the units are going to be truly affordable units.
Yes.
At 80%.
Correct.
Median
Monitored
income.
80% AMI units.
And the deed restricted to that.
That's right.
And what kind of subsidies are you requesting for that?
At this time, the applicant owner is working with the city. The goal is to take advantage of the 8% law.
Which I'm told by staff earlier today that is actually, it's been verified by the city that this is actually not workforce. This is actual affordable housing at 80% AMI, 40% of the units being that. And if you did less than 40%, I think maybe you might not meet it, but 40% you definitely meet it, and they've gotten that ruling from the city. So you'd qualify for the a tax treatment, but that's the only subsidy that you're looking for is what you're entitled to under the.
At this time, correct. Yep.
So I think that's worth noting is that probably that's the first application we've seen that the only subsidy that they're looking for is what's allowed by statute and their treatment under the A law, which is pretty incredible. We don't see a lot of affordable applications coming in like that. Commissioners, other questions of the applicant?
My only comment on the design is the Dexter Street front doesn't have an entrance.
Thank you.
The front on Dexter Street doesn't have an entrance on it. Right, so the only entrance is around the corner in the parking lot.
That's correct.
Any reason why there's no entrances on the main street?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to maximize the efficiency of the building, and I know that's not the greatest answer. We're also thinking about security. We think by having the only entry at grade from the parking lot, which is, somewhat secure is what's best for the tenants that are occupying the building. We on other projects that we've worked on, we have been forced to put a door on a main street, an A street, and we do it, but it really, it doesn't always. I think the purpose of it is to allow access to that street and to allow people, tenants to get on that road, on that sidewalk easily. If they're walking their dog, they want to get back into the building easily. So it's more for convenience. And we think that security is more important than convenience in this location.
So even if, because you've testified previously that you believe that the residents won't be using the parking lot to its capacity, you still think that's the best way to get in and out of the building?
Yeah, bike
Even if
storage
you're
is on that side, main access to mail is on that side. All packages will be, all drivers that are dropping off packages will come into the parking lot and use that rear door too, so we don't end up with people with hazard lights on Dexter Street or Hanover. So for all those reasons, we think it's the right thing to do.
Can also be fast there. like to not have people stopping and turning in can be better. I guess I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for additional tree planting to happen as part of this request. I know we're preserving the significant tree that exists, but I don't see plans for any others.
How do you intend to meet the canopy coverage?
Yes, so we are planting 4 additional trees in the kind of the parking area as well as
That's what I thought.
14 shrubs as well. C11 in the civil package shows a landscape plan. And we are meeting the landscape requirements for the parking, the off-site parking as well. So we're providing an additional tree there as well as the 5-foot separation.
Can you, so related to those shrubs, the fence that we talked about, can you point that out in the, I'm trying to understand whether that view in the rendering we're gonna see. It kind of relates to the comments about the entrance too, but if the entrance is around the back and we have a big fence screening the parking, it feels like that rendering maybe is a little bit false because it feels a little bit more open than what it will be.
So the fence I was speaking to is along the southern property line and the western property line. So
Okay,
more
there's nothing
providing,
on that.
correct, yeah, more protection, with the abutting properties. And then we have the significant tree here. And then there's 2 trees along the front and 2 additional trees in the back. And then there'll be a row of shrubs as well here just to provide some headlight screening.
So looking at C11, you haven't updated that plan to include the incorporation of the significant tree. I assume that's going to be forthcoming and I guess
Yeah, it was electronically submitted.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Oh, you didn't electronically submit, it's in the printed ones, it wasn't online.
Oh, got it.
Cause I printed mine online, so I see that. Okay. So you're still, my question was that you're still keeping the significant tree and the others originally submitted. So you'll exceed the canopy coverage in this case, because you're keeping the significant tree and you're meeting both everything else.
Correct, yeah, we weren't taking anything back, we were just keeping the tree.
Okay.
What about where the additional parking is planned? There's one.
Yes, so that'll be on C12. We show kind of the landscaping again along Ford Street.
And that meets the landscape requirements for the zone, right?
Correct.
Is there the opportunity for trees on the side? I know it's a tighter sidewalk, it's not large.
Sorry, one more time?
I guess I'm just asking about like city trees out front. Plantings in the sidewalk.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges we have is the overhead wires along Dexter Street. It may be challenging to try to incorporate that. Something, I mean, we can speak to the applicant about Hanover Street. We have a lot of utility connections kind of coming through there. There could be an opportunity there. But it could be something we kind of look at as the project progresses forward.
So I hear what you were saying about the security issue there. I just feel like it's, I know it's in almost a place that nobody walks around. It's kind of an abandoned-ish, the building down the street on Bellevue Street, kind of that project collapsed. But the med school is 1 block down. And then the new development up on up farther up Dexter Street that one seemed to be very well fit in pretty good. And so, and I think that if there was a way to consider doing some activity or some having access, even if it's in the future for a future access to the Dexter Street side, I kind of feel like building that way is just not gonna. I know it's easier for security, but it feels like it's gonna solidify that don't want to walk here.
Yeah,
That building next to it, I think there's a women's group that owns that or meets in there, the Spanish, right. So there is some storefronts on this building up on the next block that are used for some communal meetings and stuff.
Really?
A couple off over, yep.
Oh, to the north?
Well, that building right there, yes.
Well, that building right there there's no one in that building, and that historic entry has been blocked off. Probably for the same reasons that we're suggesting that we don't put a front door on this, on Dexter Street. However,
Okay, one block up,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, at the intersection.
However, I think the other challenges we have is just the grade change, because this site slopes down towards Dexter. As Josh was describing the water travel, it slopes down, and so we're entering on the rear. And so we're trying to raise the elevation of the first floor units. And so we would have to incorporate some kind of stair and ramp, and we're right now at the property line. So that would mean that we'd have to include it inside the building. And that would ruin some efficiencies, and probably hurt unit count. So, you know, if it's, you know, we think that by activating Hanover Street with our lobby, you know, we're still celebrating an entry point to a certain degree at this corner. And, you know, trying to force a door or an access point on Dexter, it will put that visitor or that tenant in the center of a double loaded corridor where there's units, front doors of units. So it's not the most desirable arrival sequence if someone doesn't live on that floor. If they're going to the elevator, they're going to be walking through a corridor with their pet or with their bike or what have you to get to the elevator, to get to the bike storage, or to get to the mailroom, et cetera, et cetera. So just logistically, we don't think it's appropriate for this design, but we do understand the desire to try to activate street fronts as much as we can, when we can.
yeah, I understand the tightness that you're dealing with on the ground floor plan and the desire to have people arrive at a lobby. I do think that generally, like, the composition of the elevation and the location of the lobby or of the door really, it turns its back a little bit on Dexter Street, in a way that it seems like could be adjusted with still meeting the requirements of the design. So I think maybe that has to do with where the brick extends to along Dexter Street and whether you see that facade along Dexter Street as kind of like a front facade. And then additionally, I think here you're kind of showing the entry canopy coming around the corner, but I think to any extent that you could extend the visibility of that lobby, and I understand carving into the building is going to reduce some efficiencies, but if there were any way to create pathway to that entry that sort of felt like it was inviting from Dexter Street, I think the point Noel's making, I kind of second, which is that, as you've noted, this is a corridor that might have a very different character in 20 years.
Yeah, we hope.
And, you know, if we can build for that future, that would be great.
Yeah, architecturally speaking or aesthetically speaking, I think the door that you're asking for would go right here.
Yeah, so I actually I'm not sure that like a door set, you know, flat into a facade right along the sidewalk is actually that much. I mean, no, you could disagree with me, but I think my view is that treating that facade, so maybe like extending the brick to the end of the facade and making it feel like it's a whole facade that you're dealing with on the street front there makes more sense. And I understand that if you introduce a door there, it's gonna be a door into a corridor.
Right.
I think celebrating, maybe just like extending the lobby presence to Dexter in a more emphatic way.
So I guess I want to make sure that we go back and study this with the right optics. Are you asking for an access point into the building on Dexter, or are you asking for activation on
I think
Dexter?
this might be where Noel and I disagree. I think Noel's asking for an access point and I'm saying I don't care that much about the access. I care about like the feeling that when you're walking down Dexter Street, that there's activation, that things are happening and people are there
And you
there's
think that,
entry.
My concern is similar. So I know the street is hard to, you drive by because you don't want to stop. And, but I live in the neighborhood. I live down, about 10 blocks. And so, it's rough, but I like the city. I like that feel. And so I'm not afraid of it. It seems like maybe what Charlotte is saying is the same thing I'm trying to say is like, don't leave Dexter Street out of the picture, right? I know it's not really safe. Not too many people probably walk their dog down there. They usually go to the park the other way from the other building farther north. But in the future, hopefully, the school is there. The med school is really open to the public, right? If you drive down 3 more blocks, there's a school. It's fairly new. Probably 20 years old now, but it has a yard all around and a parking lot and an entrance in the back, off of Buckland Street.
yeah,
And that's probably the most inviting building on the street all the way down until you get up farther up toward Cranston Street. But it could be a point to tie this building, a few blocks down. And I know there was a development that tried to happen across the street and down 1 block a few years ago that I don't know whatever happened to that, or if it's gonna try to come back, that was gonna be storefronts and all that.
Can you go back to the aerial view of the lobby that you had a few slides? Or I guess of the first floor
Oh, sure.
aerial view.
Yeah.
So is it possible to maybe add a second door to the lobby in the top left corner there so you can access it from the parking lot, but then also from Hanover Street, and that, and there's like an awning or something to call to a door there, and you can see that visibly from Dexter. So when you're walking down Dexter or passing, you at least can, there's visibility of a second entrance on this side street, which I guess is Hanover Street.
Yes.
So you're still utilizing the same lobby, but we have 2 entrances and one of them is at least visible from Dexter Street.
I'm sure you're gonna have
Yes,
some sort of,
Josh is just it's a 2-foot grade change. So again, it's something we're gonna have to contend with, but
Some sort of ramping.
Yeah. yeah,
and you are carrying that canopy over
yes.
onto Hanover Street to effectuate the feel of it.
Yes.
Charlotte, is what you're saying along Dexter Street, are you proposing that they carry the brick facade, continuing it to the end of that building instead of breaking up the massing so much?
I mean, I think my comment about the facade is that they're sort of mimicking or calling reference to industrial buildings that are really simple in their facade design and are usually boxes that are nicely, and I think you've done a nice job with the windows and sort of detailing them in a contemporary way. I just think it could be simpler and treat Dexter Street as a full facade with brick.
Which would effectuate what she's saying instead of even adding, you don't need to add an entrance there. It's more just the feel of a continuous building instead of breaking it up. And
Yeah, we could look at it. I mentioned earlier how we're recognizing that this building is viewed and received in many different directions, and wrapping the whole podium with brick is gonna be cost prohibitive. So we tried to play with these forms, sort of wrapping the corners so that you always have sort of some interest as you turn the corner of the building. So having the brick go all the way to the end of the building on Dexter Street, terminating it on that inside edge, I think is gonna feel a little awkward until something gets built adjacent to it. But I understand what you're asking.
I think the spirit of the comment is about simplification. And so whether it's wrapping, and I appreciate, the consideration of different materials and how much money you have to spend, but I think simpler forms that are, either full horizontal band or like a full vertical, like you have a sort of skinny edge on that Dexter facade that's like the lighter material. Maybe that comes all the way down to the ground so that the brick feels like a completed form. Right now, you have a few different zigs and zags and
Things, yeah,
transitions, and
yeah.
I think it could feel more like a set of simple forms. And it might feel more like a complete building rather than we had enough money to spend this much on brick and
We don't want it to feel that way.
yeah,
We don't want it
I
to
do.
feel that-
I mean, I appreciate all the work that's gone into detailing the windows, but I think anything we can do to make Dexter feel like a main facade that is getting, treatment as not the back of the building.
Okay. Happy to look at that for you. I think, from a massing perspective, what it's gonna be received as a 2+3 scale building, right?
Mhm.
And, we were thinking that by breaking in the scale and playing with a 2+3 on this front corner that you're viewing and then transfer to a 1+4
Yeah.
as it wraps the corner and goes to the rear of the building was a way to dissolve the massing of the building. If you have a datum that runs straight across this front road, I guess it's not foreign, right? We have it right next door. We were just thinking about, the residential nature of it. But we could study it further. We could certainly
Yeah,
study it
and
further.
I think what I'm almost proposing is that you can stick with the 2+3 and maybe instead of 4+1, it becomes just 5.
Mhm,
Coming all the way down.
mhm, mhm.
Just any way that the form can kind of feel
Simpler
simpler.
and more consistent along
Yeah,
Dexter
yeah, because if you look along, I mean, building next door is just
and across the street.
a brick block.
Yeah,
And I think the corner that you've designed here is nice with the building
Mhm.
street.
Mhm. Okay.
You don't have a lot of space to inset things, so the changing of materials, I think, becomes tricky.
Yeah. I think we have this solution on someone's desk in our
Yeah.
office, so I think we could certainly make this happen.
If we were to verbalize that, how would we?
We should explore simpler material expression consistent with the neighborhood.
Explore simpler expressions along Dexter.
Yeah.
Is there consensus amongst the board of this direction or design revision? Or is there mixed at this
I
moment?
don't personally feel that strongly
Mhm.
with it. I'm maybe not as familiar with this corner of Dexter. I don't know that I would love the whole front being, I think it would look like someone just threw an addition on top of an old factory and I don't love that look.
Yeah.
I prefer this, but that's just my personal opinion.
Mhm. And Noel, is this addressing your concern about Dexter or not really?
I think so. Maybe, I don't know how to design. I built it,
Oh, it's
but I
okay. We
can't
can talk
design
it through.
And so I don't know.
I can
like a
shepherd
lot of
you
these
through
things
this.
Here, but what I sense is like, is the balance between fear and security, right? And I feel like security is winning and fear is actually kind of driving some of this. And I know because I live in bad neighborhoods and I have over time. But somebody's got to go first.
That's right.
And,
We're
maybe
typically the pioneer, yeah.
That's all I'm saying is like, and it is about feeling activated, not kind of feeling like it's the back of the building. Those kinds of things. So I don't know if I can say much more that will help.
Well, I just translate, for me, by putting a door on Dexter, it helps welcome people in, whether they have access to the building or not. It shows a signal of a welcoming point. What we're talking about is not doing that. Instead, we're talking about carrying 2 stories of brick along the whole face of Dexter, which to me seems a little bit more fortress-like. So I'm poking at this because I think we could, by addressing one comment, be creating a bigger monster on this side of the table.
Well, I think what Charlotte mentioned about bringing that white section down to the ground, right? You
Yeah.
mentioned that as a possibility. Design wise, I can't really help you know how to fix those things.
Mhm.
Just tell you what I'm seeing when I my reaction to the building is it all happening over in the park,
Yeah.
right?
And I do agree. I mean, I don't think it needs to be brick, but activating Dexter, and I think that would help activate Dexter. It doesn't need to be a doorway. I don't think we need another doorway on any of the streets. I think the doorway's fine. It's just making it feel less.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So consensus that simplifying this massing
Simplifying,
is a good,
yes.
is a good
Not
way forward.
necessarily the brick, but
Yeah.
simplifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we would like to say, we do like to see the brick. 'Cause and I like the Everlast material. It's the first time we've seen that here at the commission.
Yeah.
That's a much higher grade product than the fiber cement,
Mhm.
in my opinion. So I think we want to encourage the direction that you were trying to go, mindful of cost constraints. I think the criticism here has been valid to try to make what I think is a very good building better.
Mhm.
I think that's the way I would see it.
Yeah,
I would agree.
also just wanted to make one more comment about, just getting back to my earlier comment about the parking not being used. I assume that if the parking doesn't get used for this project, it can get rented out to someone else who will use it or
I believe that
get turned.
it's other interests in the area.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
If they've used the parking lot on Ford Street and it doesn't, well, if they build it and it doesn't become usable, can it then be abandoned or converted somewhere else?
I mean, there are a lot of things that can happen
But
in
I
the
mean,
next
are
few
we
years.
trying that?
There have been
building-
discussions of,
Yeah, it's
reducing
part of
parking minimums. It's part of their parking calculations, yes.
So it is tied to this building, at least for now.
Mhm.
And may I ask, we will also be required to record a lien to the property to be in compliance with the special use permit requirements for the principal parking lot for off-site parking. So it would forever be a part of 309 Dexter.
Unless something changed with, regulations and you were able to reverse that and get approval and such, but you'd have to get approval to do so. Yes, sir.
My math isn't always the best, but I just calc 48 times 0.4 is 19.2 units. That would be deed restricted. What is the actual number that you're gonna use? That's part A of the question.
That is a great question, and that
what
is
we're here for.
why I went to law school and I did not become a mathematician. So let's go, it would round up to the next total number of units. So I pull out my calculator.
Maybe 20.
It'll be 20. There we go.
And the second question would be, would any of these be below 80% AMI? Or are we all thinking that they're gonna be right around?
No,
80?
it would all be 80. Yep,
Okay. And the last
of the
question
40%.
is this building going all electric?
The new energy code requires every building that's built going forward to be fully energy ready, electric ready. Meaning that all the infrastructure of the building needs to be designed to satisfy the building as if it's only electric. We haven't had that conversation with this client yet, but we know what the new code forces us to do. What typically happens through that conversation is the client will say, well, if I'm going to install an electrical service to make this building 100% electric, why would I spend money to bring gas into the building, for example? Why wouldn't I just continue with that strategy and make the whole building electric? Because they're able to put all the utilities on a panel in the unit that they could they could pass costs towards the tenant. So my guess is that this building will be 100% electric, but I can't promise you that because we do have clients that still think that it's worthwhile to, even though they have to provide a transformer that satisfies this building at 100% electricity, that it's still valuable today to bring gas into the building and heat and cool buildings or warm water with gas. So no promises, but this code has just been recently begun to be enforced. So it's a conversation we're having on a regular basis with our clients as these buildings go up.
Yeah, I would imagine this will be cheaper to build all electric, just by seeing it, and it makes me happy. So that's nice. I think you did a great job with the presentation. I'd like to see more units and less parking, but that's not my decision. But Very nice.
Thank you.
I'm surprised that you didn't ask the client that before coming here, knowing Dave was going to ask that, because he asks that of every.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's a new conversation. It's a very new conversation.
Not a new conversation with Dave.
I think,
Thank you.
I think I'm still interested in seeing if we're talking about creating allowances for parking, is there an opportunity to bring in more trees either on the sidewalk or at this additional parking area? I mean, if you look at satellite photos of the area, there's just a huge hole. I know being under power lines isn't ideal, but we're not planting 35-foot trees, we're planting 6-foot trees. It's gonna take some time.
Is there any further discussion that the applicant cares to have about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the, the big differences of how this application started and when we're here today is, we have I believe, I want to say close to 40-inch significant tree that's being protected and maintained. So we met the canopy and landscaping requirements before without it. And now we've maintained the same number of parking, but we've been able to maintain the significant tree, which we're really proud of, while incorporating stormwater and all those things that we need to ensure, proper
Right, but a
management.
lot of this conversation has been around how it feels to walk down that street and is it welcoming and, if we're not creating any sort of canopy or greening or shading of the space, like, I feel like part of what we're talking about is how to make this a more walkable residential area. Trees are a big part of that.
Well, I mean, there are a couple of issues with that. I mean, the first is that the MMU setback is, to the
Right.
property line.
So if you go to the
And
next,
then
if you go to the next block, there are tree wells in the sidewalk at the next block.
Mhm. But they're also doing something that most applications that come before us don't do, which is they're meeting the canopy coverage on their property and not requesting street trees somewhere else around the city to be planted. So I do appreciate that. And they're adding stormwater in, which I'm very concerned about, on an existing paved surface.
Thrilled to see affordable units in front of this board, absolutely. But I'm asking, is it also possible to consider additional tree planting?
Well, I mean, we can do that. Tell them to plant it off-site because that's under the purview of the forester. Like, it's the forester who determines locations that are appropriate for off-site plantings.
So I'm.
We can't tell them they have to plant the trees in front of there because the forester may say
Right.
no.
It
city
would
property.
depend on the forester, and it's not like they have a canopy coverage deficit here that
Could
would
we,
compel that.
could we have a conversation with the forester, be part of this application to see if it's possible to plant additional trees in front of the building?
I mean, I don't really see what would trigger that requirement from here,
I'm just asking.
from the
if that's
application.
possible. Okay. All right.
Like, it would have been like that, like, let's say if they didn't have space to meet the canopy coverage on the site,
Mhm.
then that could have definitely been a discussion about meeting it somewhere off-site.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, in one particular location, there's nothing in this application that would trigger that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm glad that, because I was concerned, I was looking at the outdated plan on C11. I was like, oh, you guys are gonna take some of these trees away because you have that significant tree you're maintaining on the updated C5 and C6. I didn't see an updated C11. So now you've met my concern, which was you're still gonna meet the canopy coverage and you're gonna keep the significant tree on top of that. So that's way beyond.
But like
what
what's shown
they're
in the
required.
rendering is not what's there in reality. Those trees in the back aren't
Yeah.
necessarily there.
They never. Renderings never do.
I'm forever gonna be a
Yeah.
girl from Oregon looking for as
pretty.
many trees as possible.
Well,
They have all those people walking and hanging out in front of it, like there's a lot of assumptions being made here in this rendering.
I'm happy to report to you that we're exceeding canopy coverage according to your zoning ordinances.
Understood. I just, for the future and thinking about the usability and the walkability of the street, trees will make a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. I just think they're doing a lot for this already by meeting the coverage, exceeding the coverage, adding in stormwater controls, which don't exist today. I think they're doing a lot for this area already, and I do feel the same. I mean, there are so many streets that I walk up and down in this neighborhood and the West End and the Upper South Side that have no trees, and it's a tree desert, and it feels completely different than the trees that have been planted by the WBNA or someone else over the years that are fully mature now. But he's doing a lot for.
I just feel like if this project was coming to us in a different location, would those trees be part of that plan?
No, because they meet the coverage. They would, you know what they would do? They would build more parking and they wouldn't meet the coverage and they'd ask for street trees somewhere else that's not on their property, which they're meeting it on their property. So I think it's actually better than asking for street trees, because that's what we always get asked for, is they don't have the room to meet the canopy coverage and landscape requirements on their property, and the applicant is exceeding. That's just my opinion.
And
I would always ask for more trees if we could, but.
We are. I did. I said, can you keep that significant tree also? And they already
Well,
have.
no, I mean, but I'm with Bree. With Bree, so.
Pretty consistent in always doing that.
More tree. We do, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
We can always ask, we can't require.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And on that note, if there's no further questions of the applicant, we thank you for your time, and we request that you grant the dimensional adjustment for the reduced parking. In addition to the reduced parking due to the unique split zone and trying to meet the different requirements of what the zoning ordinance entails with the special use permit. We also request that you grant the special use permit for the off-site parking lot and grant the dimensional variance request for the impervious surface total and for the rear yard of the R3 zone.
Okay, you can ask for that, but I think I need some testimony on the record about how you meet the requirements for each of the adjustments.
Right, so as the applicant has, as the expert testimony has provided, that through the architect and also through the engineer, with the characteristics of the neighborhood and it being mixed use and the presence of the split zone, there's a hardship to the property there, and that's speaking to the dimensional variance, and by providing the parking with the nature of the site, you see that we try to provide the stormwater infrastructure as you heard before you, and really improve the area. In terms of the adjustments saw, as you heard, we are providing affordable units for 40% of the units proposed with 80% AMI, which would trigger the dimensional adjustment qualification. And additionally, when it comes to the special use permit that is connected to the off-site parking, we meet all the specific and objective criteria provided in your ordinance with the landscaping requirements and all other parking requirements in terms of the aisle.
What about the dimensional relief? There's a variance that's requested.
Yep, so the variance that's requested is for the impervious surface coverage in the R3 zone for the rear yard and total. So as you heard, the existing lot is already severely paved and impervious, completely paved, in fact. And with the proposal before you, you see that we are providing new stormwater controls, and in fact, that it will not increase any runoff than what is currently existing. And so it would be more than a mere inconvenience to deny the impervious surface coverage relief with the much needed affordable housing in this area.
So would the hardship that the applicant seeks relief for due to the unique characteristics of the subject lot and not the general characteristics of the surrounding area, or not economic disability of the applicant, et cetera?
Correct. As you heard, it's due to the split zone and of the lot and nothing to do with the applicant. If you have any questions of the applicant as well, the applicant is also present via Zoom today.
And then the granting of the variance will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or impair the intent of the comprehensive plan or the ordinance?
Correct. And as you heard on the record, that with the nature of the lot, the actual proposed building is within the MMU zone, and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the designation of this area. And so we also defer to all the findings in the staff report.
And I think you were alluding to this, but if we were to not grant this, would it be grant to more than a mere inconvenience?
Correct. Due to the affordable housing component here, we will lose that opportunity to provide that much needed housing and the increase in stormwater controls.
Just making sure we're covering all of our bases here. All right. Commissioners, anything else for the applicant? Okay. Joanne, let's hear the staff report.
Sure. And, so commissioners, you did see the applicant talk about the building's design, parking, landscaping, drainage, and we should also add that they did include a conforming lighting plan in their application. So I think from there, we can directly jump into the dimensional adjustment section. And so they are eligible per section 1904 E.1 of the ordinance by virtue of 40% of the units being restricted to households making 80% or less of the area median income. And that is through, and basically they're eligible through provision of housing for low and moderate income families. Then 1904.E.2 of the ordinance does say that the dimensional adjustment of a 50% reduction in parking is within the allowable adjustments listed in that section. They're asking for approximately, I believe, 30%. And also provision of housing for low and moderate income households is reasonably related to the request for parking reduction. So based on that, we do recommend that you grant that adjustment, finding that the applicant meets the criteria for dimensional adjustments in 1904E of the ordinance, as well as 10005B of the development review regulations. And from there, moving on to the variance, they did note that this site will be composed of two zones, MMU 75 as well as R3. And the difference in the dimensional requirements as well as the use requirements of both zones makes it difficult to develop the parcel. And therefore the hardship is related to the site's zoning configuration. We don't believe that this will alter the character of the surrounding area. And we do feel that denial of this relief would prevent development of the parcel, which would amount to more than a mere inconvenience. So based on that, we would recommend that you approve the requested dimensional relief as proposed. And moving on to the special use permit for the principal use parking lots. This is a use that is specifically set forth in the ordinance. We don't expect it to injure the use and enjoyment of neighboring property or devalue neighboring property. And it's not expected to be detrimental or injurious to the health and welfare of the community, given that that site is already used as accessory parking. And so therefore the change is not expected to have a negative effect on the surroundings. And based on that, we would recommend that you approve the special use permit. And also we would add, although they're required to do it, I think doesn't hurt to add that per section 1404, they are required to file a lien on those spaces for use of the building, for use of the subject building at 309 Dexter Street. And from there, we can move on to the preliminary plan. This is an area that's the future land use map intends for business and mixed use development, which encourages residential high-density residential development as well. And so based on that, as well as provision of new housing in accordance with section H2, we do find this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan that multifamily development is permitted by right in the MMU 75 zone. Subject to you granting relief from the paving requirement, we do find that they will comply with the dimensional requirements. They will comply with the parking requirement subject to you granting the dimensional adjustment as well as a special use permit for the principal use parking lot. They'll meet the landscaping as well as lighting requirements. Again, we don't foresee a negative environmental impact given that they are required to comply with all applicable environmental regulations as well as submit state approvals at the final plan stage. And finally, the site is made up of 4 lots at this time, so we do require that they merge the lots prior to final plan approval and submit any encroachment permits at the permitting stage. And finally, adequate street access will be provided from Dexter, Hanover, and Ford Streets. So based on that, we would recommend that you approve the preliminary plan subject to these conditions. The drainage plan will be subject to the city engineer's approval. Applicant shall submit any required state permits at the final plan stage. The applicant shall merge the subject lots and any required encroachment permit shall be submitted at the permitting stage. And also, I know you did ask that the applicant explore simpler material expressions on the face of the building, and I would ask that you elaborate on that for the sake of the decision.
You mean it needs to be more clear
Yeah,
so that
just,
you can follow it for final
yeah,
plan
and
approval?
also provide some direction to the applicant.
I think the applicant understood, but I do agree it should be a little more clear. So it looks like before we open up to public comment, it looks like there's a need for at least 4 votes. One for the dimensional adjustment, one for the dimensional variance, one for the special use permit, if we have both of those, and then one for preliminary plan. Is that what we're looking at? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. All right, this is a public hearing, so we will open up to public comment at this time. If you are here to speak on this agenda item, which is case number 26-022 MIS 309 Dexter Street, agenda item number 4. Please raise your virtual hand or press *9 if you're calling in, or there's no one else in our physical room, so I'm not going to. There's no one who can speak here.
And yeah, I don't see any hands being raised up.
All right, there's no one in our physical room who wishes to comment, and there's no one in our virtual room. So with that, we will close the public comment portion of this agenda item. Well, I don't disagree. I always want more trees, but I think that this applicant has put forward a very good application. The facade, could use some tweaking, but I think the stormwater, the canopy coverage, and the affordable housing that this project would bring to fruition is, like I said, I don't believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've seen an 80% AMI project without, Rhode Island housing subsidy, anything like this is amazing. I've not seen anything like this. So kudos to the developer that they can do this. Maybe if this is successful, I hope it spurs more development that shows that it can pencil out with just the 8 treatment, tax treatment. That'd be phenomenal. Because we all know that we need more housing at all income levels.
And the density allowed by the CPC to make this possible. Don't forget that piece. So there's a lot of pieces in play here.
There are. Yes.
Just throw that out there.
Yep. And I mean, not for nothing, we would we probably, I mean, I don't know how staff would have looked at this before we saw it, because I'm sure there was a lot of back and forth with staff, but I think we would have looked favorably upon a space or two less and a little bit more of the greenery or things like that. But I'm not, what's before us today is what we're voting on, and I'm very pleased with what we have in front of us today.
Can I have a clarification? So they're gonna merge the lots in the
Correct.
process. What will the zoning be on that?
It would not change the zoning. It would still be MMU in the area of the building and R3 in the area of the parking.
It'll be
So
a
it
split
doesn't,
zone.
so it will remain like it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and that's why they're requesting the relief from the,
Okay, they don't all become MMU
no, it doesn't.
where they wouldn't need the relief from the paving.
No, that wouldn't be the case.
If that were the case, they would probably merge them. I mean, the other option, so I think in looking at this, I thought the other option was a zone change, which is more cumbersome than I think what they're requesting from us. And that, I'm not speaking for you, I'm just saying this is what I looked at, and I said, well, this is the smarter way to come about this, you know, because it takes a lot less time to do this than it would to come to us for that zone change request at this meeting with your plan, and then go to city council for another 3+ meetings.
God knows how long.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's the most effective way to effectuate this plan, in my opinion. So the first item that we want to take action on is the dimensional adjustment, where the applicant is seeking approximately 29% dimensional adjustment from the parking space requirements, where 48 spaces are required and 34 will be provided. And they're doing that because they meet the criteria, which we've already spoken about, that the 40% of the restricted units will be making 80% of the area median income, and that the dimensional adjustment is allowable within section of 1904 E2 of the zoning ordinance. The applicant testified to that as well, and the extent of the dimensional adjustment is reasonably related to the condition that makes the project eligible. Obviously, low to moderate income housing is reasonably related to the request for the parking reduction. And the applicant testified to that. So if we would vote towards we would make a motion to grant the dimensional adjustment, finding the applicant meets the criteria of the dimensional adjustments in 1904 E of the ordinance, and having made the positive findings in conformance with section 1005B of the DRR.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Way to get in there. All right, we'll go around and do a voice vote. Rachel?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Noel?
Aye.
Charlotte?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And the next one is the dimensional variance. And we've gone through with the applicant, obviously. We discussed the criteria for the dimensional variance that we need to make positive findings for based on the applicant's testimony. They brought experts to testify to these criteria of the variance, that it's the unique characteristic of the subject land. We talked about that because it's the split zone. Obviously, that's a little bit weird, and the density they're trying to provide for the affordable housing that they're providing. Then the variance will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or the purpose of the ordinance or the comprehensive plan. You know, there's some dense buildings, there's some old mill buildings, there's some vacant lots. I think we know that this won't do anything to negatively impact the surrounding area, and the applicant testified to that as well. And I would agree with that. And the City Plan Commission, as part of Unified Development Review, entered into the record that the dimensional variance, that the hardship is not more than a mere inconvenience, that that would be that this affordable housing project doesn't get built. That's what the testimony that we received from the applicant was. So if we were comfortable with that, we would say that the applicant has met the criteria, and that we recommend that we make a motion to approve the requested dimensional relief as described.
So moved. Second.
We'll go around and do a vote again. Go with Noel first this time.
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
and I vote aye. All right, now we have the relief requested. The next up is the special use permit. And the special use permit has criteria that we've discussed with the applicant, that the proposed, and these are the objective criteria that we have in place for the special use permit. That the special use permit is set forth specifically in the ordinance and complies with any conditions set for the authorization of such special use permit, including those listed in Article 12, that the granting of the proposed special use permit will not substantially injure the use or enjoyment of, or nor significantly devalue the neighboring property. And that granting of the special use permit will not be detrimental or injurious to the general health or welfare of the community. We've had testimony on that from the applicant, and discussion amongst us. So that the principal use parkings are allowed in the MMU 75 zone, but the and is not expected to affect the enjoyment of the neighboring properties or have negative impact on the welfare of the community. So based on that discussion, we could make a motion that the CPC approve the requested special use permit, with the condition that we note that the lien needs to be filed on the lots. What do we want to call that? The Ford Street lots prior to issuance of the special use permit.
I'll make that motion.
All right,
Go
we
ahead.
have a motion.
Go ahead.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. We'll go around and do a voice vote. I'm going to mess everyone up. Charlotte,
Aye.
Lindsay, Noel,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
and I vote aye. There is one more. Yes. Now we're on to the planning board items. Yeah, I think you should. So we went through, we have a special use permit that has been granted, and now we can go through the findings for the preliminary plan. We've discussed all of those at length, and we have the street access, we have buildable lot, environmental impact, compliance with the zoning ordinance, and consistency with comprehensive plan. All of those have been demonstrated and testified to. So if someone were so moved, they could make a motion based on the discussion, the testimony of the applicant, and our discussions and deliberations, to grant preliminary plan approval subject to the following conditions: that number one, the drainage plan is subject to the city engineer's approval prior to final plan submission. Number two, the applicant shall submit any required state permits at the final plan stage. Number three, the applicant shall merge the subject lots. Number four, any required encroachment permits shall be submitted at the permitting stage. And number five, that the applicant shall explore simpler expression.
Do you want me to?
Yes.
I think it's that the applicant shall, explore fewer material transitions and ways to make the facade along Dexter Street feel more like a front-facing facade.
Clear. Yeah. Good. All right. I guess if someone were,
I'll make a motion to approve.
all right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Right, we'll go around and do a voice vote. Rachel,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Noel,
Aye.
Charlotte,
Aye.
Lindsay, and I vote aye. Best of luck, and I look forward to having this project come to fruition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so this is the last agenda item. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
I was like.